Hello and welcome to a journey of clarity, a personal exploration of getting in tune with yourself and in tune with others with your host, Dr. Natanael Costea. This is a journey of emotional and spiritual awareness, of discovering what life truly means, and a clear shift from an ego-driven world to a meaning-driven world. I believe we can become more in tune with our thoughts, our emotions, and our spirituality. And as we do that, we will make better decisions, have deeper connections, more fulfillment, and even more joy. This is a bit of clarity. Hi, has anyone ever said to you, you just don't listen, or you never listen, or you never hear me? Maybe your children, maybe your wife, maybe your husband, maybe your boss, maybe your friends. How well do you listen to other people? What are your listening skills like? How good are they? How bad are they? Today in social awareness, we are talking about active listening, This is episode 32, and this is probably one of the most important episodes we're having here at A Bit of Clarity, because you want to have good relationships, both in the family and in the social context. But let me tell you something. The most underrated skill out there today is listening. If you somehow get this right, if somehow this lands well with you, if you gain the clarity with this one, you're going to make this world a much better place. People will love you. You will build healthy relationships. Your wife, your husband, your parents, your grandparents, your children will just adore you once you become a good listener. So we are addressing this in the social awareness section, but this works in every area of your life. We are human beings, and one of our greatest needs is to be heard. And we all love to tell our story. We all love to be heard by other people. But imagine beginning to love hearing other people, beginning to love to listen. Man, if you get this, let me tell you something. Your life will change dramatically. So I really pray and hope that this lands with you and you'll be able to run with this. Episode 32, Active Listening. The notes are at eq.org.au or in the comments section, wherever you are watching or listening to this content. Understanding active listening. In a nutshell, active listening is listening actively. So really doesn't need much definition, but I did put a definition here just so it helps us understand it even better. So active listening is the art of giving full attention to others when we converse. So it's the art, it's an art, it's a technique, it's something that you can learn, of giving full attention, not partial attention, but being fully present with the person when we converse with that person, when we communicate with that person. Communication theory talks about the sender, the receiver, the message, and the noise. Now, most of us, when we think about communication, we think about what we say. We think about the verbal communication, and in mode special, what we send across, what we communicate, what we actually say. That's why we go to public speaking classes. That's why we want to become better communicators. But when we become better communicators, we skew towards thinking about how we send that information and what we actually say, what we utter in words. Whereas communication is a lot more than just that. In fact, that is only a very, very small part of the way we converse with other people. So it's important, yes, verbal communication is important, how we structure the sentences, what we say, the tone of our voice, all of this is important, but it's a small part of the full conversation of the way we communicate with other people. So when we talk to other people, we are the sender, and then the other person is the receiver. So they receive what we send to them. A lot of the times, the person doesn't understand exactly what we're sending to them. They don't receive what we send. So the message, the parcel that we send to them is not always coming across the way it should be coming across. So what we say and what they receive could be two different things. And in that process, there's always a bit of noise or a lot of noise. There's other factors that affect that conversation, that transmission of that message. Unfortunately, the noise has become the most prominent sound in our lives. There's so much noise everywhere. This noise includes physical noise, such as a car driving by, so the noise that we hear around ourselves. Maybe you're in a noisy environment, maybe you're in a cafe where there's noise, maybe there's children, maybe there's, activity around you, maybe there's machinery, maybe, you're in traffic, maybe, you're on the street, wherever you are, and there's noise around you, which hinders your communication. But just as well, there is physiological noise, such as what we are thinking while the other person speaks to us. So when you communicate with another person, especially when they are talking to you, when they are the sender and you are the receiver, when you should be doing active listening, your thoughts can run away. My thoughts can run away. Now, let me tell you something. In my youthful years, I was not a good listener. In fact, most of the conversation was all about me. And if the other people didn't want to listen to me and they only wanted to talk, I would just walk away. I wouldn't even care too much about them. I wasn't really into it. I didn't, and when they did talk, my thoughts would run wild and I would think about something else. I wasn't in the zone. And this can happen. So this kind of noise happens in our heads. We don't see it, or the other person doesn't necessarily see it. At times they do see that we're not with them. And sometimes we can hide it and mask it really well. But that noise happens in our heads. We're not fully present with that person. So active listening is eliminating that noise and being fully present with the person, giving the full attention with that person. Therefore, listening is an active process. We think that listening is passive, that you don't have to do anything, you just sit there and have your ears open. Well, no, listening is active. Listening is being in the zone. Listening is being committed to the conversation. Listening is in assimilating what the other person is saying, in trying to understand the person, in trying to grasp the subject of the matter, in making an effort to understand the emotion, the feelings, everything that is transmitted through that conversation. As we listen more sensitively to people, they start to listen to themselves more carefully and pay attention to their thoughts and feelings. So when you listen attentively to other person, you actually promote in them the ability to hear themselves, to hear their own thoughts, to understand their own feelings. So when you become in tune with them, they become in tune with themselves. You're actually helping them becoming more emotionally intelligent. You're actually bringing an awareness to them when you promote active listening. This is powerful both for you as the receiver, but also for the sender, because they begin to live more in the zone. You are also far more likely to develop and deepen social connections, which can feel good for our need to belong. We all need to belong to a tribe, to a group of people, and to belong to a group of people or to a conversation or to a relationship, we need to be understood and to be heard. So when we give full attention and others give full attention to us, those connections are deeper, they are closer, we get each other, we understand each other on a deeper level, and this makes us belong to one another much better, and this satisfies that need to belong that we all have as human beings. So listening is an active process, not a passive process. Listening is something that we can learn. Listening is something that we can practice. Listening is something that we get involved in with a full presence, with a full being, and it's something that we do on purpose. It's something that doesn't happen randomly. Sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't. We are fully intentional about it. We are fully responsible with it, and we run with it. We actively listen to the person we conversate with. Listening mistakes. I hope you never make these. I have made all of these numerous times, and I'm trying to eliminate them more and more. So I am work in progress, and I don't know. You'll see if you identify with some of these mistakes, and where you are on the journey. Don't compare yourself with other people. Don't ever think that this teaching is great for this person or that person. Yes, do recommend it to other people. Yes, do share it with other people. But don't make the judgment saying, oh, they need this, not me, or he needs it, my wife needs this. Never, never do that. It'd be helpful for her to listen to it just as much as it's helpful to you. But do not compare yourself with other people. Don't think of yourself higher than other people. Compare yourself with who you were yesterday. That's good. And become better, absolutely. But don't compare yourself with other people. Okay, listening mistakes. See if you can identify with some of these. The most common mistakes we make when listening to other people are, number one, daydreaming. Never happened to you, I'm sure. It only happens to me and some of us on this other side of the world. Happens very often in Australia. Maybe if you're in Europe or in America or in Africa or in Asia, maybe this doesn't happen to you. I'm sure it does. I was once in Bali in Indonesia, and I was speaking at a conference, and I was talking about gossiping, and I had an interpreter who was translating for me, and I was speaking in English and she was translating in Bahasa, in Indonesian. And I said, I'm sure that in Indonesia nobody gossips. And then rather than translating what I'm saying and interpreting it for the people, she should have said, I'm sure that in Indonesia nobody gossips. She looks at me and she said, no, sir, in Indonesia we gossip. She stopped. Rather than translating that, she said to me, no, we gossip as well. At least she identified that they have an issue. So listen to this, daydreaming. It's like, it only happens to me, right? It doesn't happen to you. No, it happens to you as well. I'm sure that you can identify with this. So daydreaming is pretending to listen but not hearing the other person. You know, we are dreaming about what happens next, where we have to go next. Are we late? Are we not? Are we picking up the kids? Are we dropping the kids? Are we cooking dinner tonight? What's the next meeting? What do I have to do tomorrow? I hope I make the train. I hope I make the next meeting. You know, we're always thinking about the next, and we're not fully present with the person, or we're daydreaming about something else. Or they open up a subject and we've gone astray. They shifted away from the subject and we're still in the other zone. So daydreaming is a common mistake that we have when we listen to people. Number two, thinking of what to say next. Thinking ahead of what we need to respond, how we need to bring our point of view. Sometimes, you know, what advice to give to them, what solution to give to them, or to just simply state our story and saying, oh, this is the way I see things, or you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that. So listening to respond, not listening to understand. So let me tell you something. This has worked for me immensely in the last few years. So this is the lenses that I put on when I listen to somebody, and I know that it's important to actively listen to that person. I ask myself this question: do I listen to understand, or do I listen to respond? If I listen to respond, it's not about the other person, it's about me. It's about me constructing a response to whatever they're saying. And that's not actively listening. To actively listen means to listen to understand, not to listen to respond. So let the person finish off. Let them empty out. Let them state everything. I mean, we interrupt people. I interrupt people at times, and I'm biting my tongue, and I'm learning this. Before I was worse at this. I would just change the subject and it would be about me. And I just can't believe people had so much patience with me. Just thank you. Sorry guys, you know, I'm sure in many conversations I misbehaved. But now I have this perspective and I'm learning, and I'm always putting these lenses on. Am I listening to understand, or am I listening to respond? And try and understand as much as possible. So daydreaming, number one, thinking of what to say next, number two. And number three, judging with bias. Judging with bias what is being said. Imposing our view and perspective, not the sender's. So when somebody says, you know, oh, my kids wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and oh, I'm always tired and fatigued because of that. In my mind, I would think, oh, well, why did you teach them to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Why do you put them at 7 in bed? Put them at 8 in bed. It's like, you're not a good parent. You don't know how to time your kids. Do you know what I mean? We make a judgment and we construct some sort of an idea, perception
and we judge other people. And we do that all the time. We do that all the time. We look at other people and we think that, they haven't yet got it. Or we judge them with bias about what they say. They say, oh, let's say if somebody is overweight and they say, oh, I try not to eat. We would say, forget it. What do you mean you try not to eat? Look at yourself, in our mind. You are who you are, or you are what you are today because you overeat. So don't tell me, we start judging, even though that person is struggling, and, rather than us trying to understand what they're saying, what they're going through, and going deeper and allowing them to voice it and process what they're going through, we make our own judgment well ahead prematurely. And then we impose our views and we say, well, if you want to lose weight, you should do this. You should get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You should go for a 5-kilometer walk. You should just have lemon water. And then you don't eat anything until 12 o'clock. You go for intermittent fasting and you only eat within 4 hours from 12 to 4. You eliminate the fats. You eliminate the sugars. You only have veggies. You only have this, I don't know, sweet potatoes. And we carry on. And we've got a full solution for them. And they go, that's not what I needed. I didn't ask for that. All I wanted to say is that I have issues and I'm trying and I'm working things out, and I need somebody to listen to me, to understand me, and to provide some sort of help along the way, but I don't want a solution as such. I mean, if I could do what you're saying to me to do, I would have done it. I am where I am today. I am overweight because I can't do what you're saying. I don't have that ability. I don't have that discipline. I have, some personal issues. There's some missing links that I have and I'm struggling with. So the only way you're going to understand that person is if you actively listen to their worldview, to their point of view, to their understanding of life, to their understanding of their situation, and see it their way. So these are some of the listening mistakes that we have. Daydreaming, thinking of what to say next, and judging with bias. All right. How can we change that? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I've put here 7 steps in the art of active listening. 7 steps that you can apply to develop this art of listening. Remember, emotional intelligence and this social intelligence that we talk about as a component of emotional intelligence is an ability that you can develop. You can grow your emotional intelligence. You can grow your social intelligence. You can develop active listening if you desire. If this is a value for you, and I hope it is, because now we brought you this awareness, we awaken you to this reality. So now that you understand it, now that you have the concept brought in front of your eyes, in front of your sight, you've got to do something with it. Don't just take it as a wonderful concept. Run with this and apply it in your life. So these are the 7 steps in the art of active listening. Number 1, non-verbal involvement. Non-verbal involvement. Listen with the eyes, with the eyebrows, with a nod, and with attentive affirmations. So as a first step in conversation, you're not going to talk. You're probably just going to listen to that person, because we are talking about active listening. So be present. Keep your eyes wide open. Look at the person in the eyes. One of the most beautiful things, one of the most beautiful acts that you can show to the person when they are talking to you in active listening is to look them in the eyes. Raise your eyebrows. With your eyes, you can communicate a lot, right? Smile, nod, try to understand, make a sound, yeah, tell me more, ponder, explain, what else, go with the person, but in your non-verbal involvement, rather than sit there like that and wait. It's like, what are you on about? It's like, open up to the discussion. Invite the people to share. Invite them. Be a sponge. Be curious, like children. Children are eyes and ears. Look at them as they look up at you. They're like, tell me more. Sometimes they want to get their point of view across, but a lot of the times they are there to receive. So be like a child and be involved in a conversation. Number 2, pay attention to the speaker, not your own thoughts. Not your own thoughts. Your mind is running wild and it's working non-stop, and your thoughts will run away. So rather than focusing on your thoughts, focus on what the speaker is saying. Focus on the person in front of you. Understand their thoughts, not yours. So ask yourself, what is this person thinking about when they're sharing this? What are their thoughts on the matter? They're saying something, but what is behind that? So go deeper in your thinking about the other person. Try and see it their way. Try and look at their own views. Try and look at their own perspective. Try and look at their worldview, how they see that matter. Position yourself to see it as they see it, to understand it as they understand it. That's the most beautiful way to engage with somebody, to actively listen, to understand them. So pay attention to the speaker, not your own thoughts. Number 3, practice non-judgment. Non-judgment. Yet again, you don't need to agree or disagree. Just hear them out by offering your presence. A lot of the times we believe that people are sharing with us because they want a solution, as I said earlier. We think that they want us to fix them or to bring some sort of a way forward for them. But most of the time, they only need to be heard. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to disagree with them. You don't have to get your view across. You don't have to impose on them. Just hear them out. Let them process things out for themselves. As they share with you, as they speak with you, as you invite them to say it, they will make sense of things. They will process. They lock themselves and unlock themselves. They see things. You create a platform for awareness. You create a platform for them to process their thoughts. You're actually helping them by not giving them advice. You're doing more damage to them by giving them advice, rather than prompting them and you say, okay, what else is going on? So what's the result of that? So if you go that way, what will happen? What are your options? So rather than saying, well, have you considered this? You say, okay, what options are there? They'll say 1, 2, 3. Okay, what should you do? And they'll say, well, maybe this. Okay, what will you do? So see, now you are helping the other person brainstorm their idea, process their thoughts, and come up with a decision which is not yours, which in that moment they will come up with it because you helped them process that. You were present for them to help them out. And if you are able to do that for them, you can do that for yourself as well. You're able to process things. And then you will value that much better when others will do that to you as well. And they will listen and hear you. So practice non-judgment. Don't judge the person. Don't point the finger. Allow them to express themselves and actively engage with what they're saying and understand what they're going through. Number 4, this is the heart of it all, and I love this. I love this. And you're going to love this as well. Tolerate silence. Learn to be patient in silence. Silence is your best friend. In coaching, there's a saying that the best coach creates a platform for silence. When somebody is silent, it means they are thinking, it means they are reflecting, it means they are one step away from breakthrough. Something inside of them is happening. And if you interrupt that silence, you rob them of that opportunity for them to come up with that breakthrough. So allow silence to take its course. It is your best friend, it is their best friend. In fact, if you have a coach and your coach hasn't left you dumbfounded in a sense, with an element of silence, change your coaches. The best coaches bring about silence in your life. They take you to a point where you just need to reflect and make a conscious shift in your life. So I come back to this. Learn to tolerate silence. Learn to look at somebody, just patiently, bite your tongue, take water in your mouth, whatever it takes. Just look at them and smile and await their response. Even if it takes seconds, sometimes it can take a minute and a half, doesn't really matter. They need their time. You're actually doing them a huge favor by just offering that space so they can process things. So tolerate silence. I know it's difficult. Most of us will have words, too many words, but the power for breakthrough is in silence, not in words. Most of us are uncomfortable in silence. We love noise, we used to saying or hearing, but learn to be comfortable with silence. This is a massive, massive thing, and I really hope that you're embracing this. Number 5, paraphrase, reiterate what they're saying, repeat in your own words what they are saying, demonstrating care and understanding. So what you're saying to me is that made you feel this way, and it had all these other things happening to you, or the ripple effect was this much, or this is what's happening. You know, help them, demonstrate to them that you care for them, that you understand what they're going through by repeating what they're saying, by paraphrasing what they're saying. Number 6, ask questions, as I said throughout today. Ask follow-up questions. Refuse the impulse to tell your story on the topic. So immediately our natural impulse is to say, oh, when I do this, or when that happens to me, I do this. Why don't you go deeper? Why don't you remove another layer and say, tell me more. What else happened? How else do you see this? You know, go on. Yeah. You know, oh, I'd like to hear more about that. Can you expand on that? Can we go a bit deeper? Do you know what I mean? Engage them. Take them to places where they haven't been within themselves for a while. Be the facilitator that helps them process and explore things for themselves. They need that. In fact, you need that. You need someone like that, and they need someone like that. And if you have this awareness, because you've been awakened to this awareness through a bit of clarity, start practicing this. You become the motivator. You become the person that shifts the surrounding people around you, the environment around you, by practicing active listening and asking better questions. So don't focus on better answers, focus on better questions. Become a great question asker, if there's such a thing. Number 7, respond with respect. We spoke in the last episode about respect, in episode 31. Respond with respect. Don't react. Don't be drawn into their world. You can empathize with them, you can help them out, but you can help them out much better if you're not sucked into the emotion, into their own reality. So stay away from that, stay above that, so you can help them, so you can respond and not react, and bring some respectful response there. By showing respect in your response, you show the speaker that they are worthy of respect. And that dignifies them, that makes them feel that they've been heard, that they've been understood, that they are respected, appreciated, affirmed, and that is something that all of us need. You need that, they need that. In order for you to receive it, you must give it first, okay? So I really hope that these steps in the art of listening, they help you. I'm going to repeat them for you because some of you are driving, or you're running, or you're doing other bits and pieces. So number 1, non-verbal involvement. Have that awareness that you can smile, that you can look at them in the eyes, that you can be part of their conversation just through the way you absorb that and the way your facial expressions demonstrate that. Number 2, pay attention to the speaker, not your own thoughts. It's not about you, it's about them. Number 3, practice non-judgment. Number 4, as I said, my favorite one, tolerate silence. Number 5, paraphrase. Number 6, ask questions. And number 7, respond with respect. Application. Time for you to take this opportunity to apply it in your life. And once again, practicing is more important than the concept. When you apply it in your life, I want us to become people who practice this clarity, not just understand it and get the knowledge of it. Think of a situation where you can apply active listening and go through the 7 steps above, writing down specific actions you will undertake. So think of a situation or a person who needs you to become an active listener to them, and go through these 7 steps and write down exactly what you will do next time, and then do it. As you practice this, the awareness will become more and more real for you, and then you will be able to become a better listener, an active listener. And the world needs active listeners out there. Because when you become a better listener, and I become a better listener, this world will learn to listen more. And when we listen more, The others will be understood, loved, cared for. And let me tell you something. We can make this world a better place. Start with the 2 ears. We've got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Let's use them proportionally. In that, let's listen twice, then we talk. And when you do that, you will bring a lot of blessing to the people around you. I really pray, and I hope that this has blessed you. And give us feedback, 5-star rating on the podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we'd love to see you here at A Bit of Clarity next time.
I'm Dr. Natanael Costea, and I thank you so much for joining me on this journey of clarity through emotional and spiritual awareness. If you feel blessed by this presentation, please subscribe, rate, comment, and share it wherever you're enjoying it. And until next time, this was A Bit of Clarity.